whispers between the rows. You ever stand in the middle of a cornfield at night? No lights, no sound, just the wind whispering through the stalks and something else whispering back. That's where it started for me. My name's Eddie Lambert, and I've lived in Millfield, Nebraska all my life. Population 2,103 and shrinking every year. Folks here are born, work, and die within a mile of the same dust road. There's comfort in that, or maybe just the illusion of it. By day, Millfield's a postcard, golden fields stretching into forever, kids on rusted bikes, the smell of diesel and sweet feed in the air. But by night, it's like the whole world exhales and holds its breath. I worked the graveyard shift at the old Miller grain elevator out by County Road 6, the one with the flickering floodlight that buzzes like it's thinking about giving up. It's a lonely job. You sit there, watching the red light on the radio tower blink like a heartbeat in the distance. Sometimes if the wind's right, you can hear it, soft as a sigh, moving through the fields, that whisper. It's not the wind, not the kind that makes the stalks sway and dance. No, this sound, it moves against the breeze, low and murmuring like voices saying your name from deep in the rows. When I was a kid, my dad used to tell me the corn was alive, that the fields could remember things, maybe even people. I laughed at that, until the night he vanished. Folks said he wandered out there drunk, got lost, but I know what I heard that night. The corn wasn't just whispering, it was calling him. It started with the scarecrow. One morning I found it standing facing the house. It used to face the road. That damn thing had stood in the same direction for as long as I could remember, guarding the fields like some silent sentry. Now it stared right through my kitchen window, right through me, like it knew something I didn't. I told myself it was nothing. Wind, maybe, kids playing a prank. But the knot around its neck was tight, and the dirt around the post was still packed hard from last season. No prints, no signs of anyone touching it. Just that crooked grin in the morning light, like it was proud of itself. Then came the voices. At first they were soft, like someone whispering my name just behind me when I worked the night shift. I'd spin around, flashlight cutting through the rows, but there was never anyone there. The air would move strange, heavy and close, and the corn would sway even when there wasn't any breeze at all. I tried to shake it off, but then the neighbor's boy Tommy went missing. 9 years old, last seen heading out toward the north field with his slingshot and a pocket full of gum. They searched for him for 2 days. Dogs, drones, the whole town out stomping through the rows. Nothing, just silence and heat. That's when people started whispering again, about my father, about the field taking what it was owed. I went out there that night, couldn't help myself. The moon was swollen and yellow, hanging low like it was watching me. I brought a flashlight, a shovel, and a flask half full of courage. When I got to the scarecrow, the ground looked different, softer somehow. I knelt down, pulled at something tangled near the base of the post, a scrap of cloth, torn and stiff with something dark. And underneath, bones, small ones, pale as the moonlight. I dropped the flashlight. It rolled, casting a beam across the rows, and for just a second, I swear, I saw shapes moving between the stalks. Tall, thin shadows bending closer, like they were listening. I could have gone to the sheriff, sure, but in Millfield, the sheriff's just as scared as the rest of us. So I went looking for answers myself, and I shouldn't have. It happened on the harvest moon. The sky was swollen and red, the color of old blood, hanging low over the fields. The rows were high, whispering in the dark like they were waiting for something. I could feel it moving out there, something ancient, something that had always been here. The whispers had changed. They weren't coming from one place anymore. They were everywhere, in the dirt, in the stalks, in my own bones. My name kept rising in that sound, said over and over until it wasn't a word anymore, just a shape cut out of fear. When I reached the old scarecrow post, I saw the glint of metal, my father's watch, half buried in the soil. The band was snapped, but the second hand still ticked, slow and steady. He'd been wearing it the night he vanished. Then I heard him. Eddie? Not a whisper, a voice. His voice, clear, familiar, and close. He was calling me from inside the rows. The flashlight flickered, hissed, and went dark. I was left in the thick black silence, except it wasn't silent anymore. The corn began to move, not from wind, but from breathing. The stalks swelled and sank like lungs, exhaling warm air that smelled like rot and rain. I turned and the scarecrow moved, slowly. Its head tilted toward me, and the burlap split along its seams, peeling away like old skin. Beneath it, faces pressed outward, not one, not two, but dozens. My father's among them, his eyes wide and shining like wet glass. Tommy's too. Their mouths opened, whispering together in a sound that rose and fell like the rustle of dry leaves. The truth hit me like a hammer. The land wasn't haunted. It was hungry. It took what it wanted, blood, bone, memory, and wove it into the harvest. And I'd come back to feed it. The whispers swelled until they were screams. Hands, no roots, burst from the soil, wrapping around my boots, dragging me down. The earth shuddered like something alive beneath me. "Stay with us," my father's voice said, soft and close, right in my ear. I had a choice: run and leave them buried, or let the field take me too. And in that moment, I understood. There was never really a choice at all. I don't remember how I got home. One minute, I was being pulled under, dirt in my mouth, whispers clawing at my ears. And the next, I was lying on my porch, face down in the cold dawn. My boots were gone, my clothes stiff with dried mud. My hands looked wrong, like the skin had been scraped by something rough and alive. The sheriff found me that morning, said I was lucky to be breathing. I tried to tell him what happened, about the faces, the breathing corn, my father's voice. But as soon as the words left my mouth, I could see it in his eyes. He wasn't hearing me. Not really, just waiting for me to stop. By noon, half the town was out there at the north field, standing in a quiet semicircle while the fire trucks lined the road. They said the soil was infected, fungus, some agricultural disease spreading through the crops. Best to burn it before it took the rest. They lit it up around 3. Flames rolled through the rows, snapping and howling, smoke twisting up into the bruised sky. For a moment, it felt like something was ending, like we were cleansing the land, setting it free. But then it happened. When the fire reached the center of the field, it just stopped. No smoke, no heat. The flames froze in place, then withered out like a candle snuffed by unseen hands. The air grew cold, too cold. Even the firemen stepped back. Nobody said a word. The sheriff called it strange wind patterns. I called it a warning. That night, Millfield went quiet again. Folks locked their doors, left porch lights burning till dawn. Some said they dreamed of voices whispering through their windows. Others said they saw faces in the smoke. As for me, I can't sleep anymore. Every time I close my eyes, I see the rows stretching out in all directions, endless and alive. I hear my father's voice, Tommy's laugh, all of them tangled together like roots in the dark. They're whispering from beneath the ashes, and if I listen too long, I start to hear my own voice among them. It's been 3 months since the fire. The smoke's gone, the air's clean, and folks around town are starting to believe it's over. They plant their gardens again. They laugh in the diner, pretending the ground doesn't still hum beneath their feet when the sun goes down. But I know better. The corn's growing again, faster than it should, sprouting through the blackened soil like it never burned at all. By morning, the stalks glisten with dew, or maybe that's something else clinging to them. The rows are thicker, tighter, and when the wind blows, they don't sway like plants. They shift like a body rolling in its sleep. The sheriff doesn't come around anymore. He left town last week without a word. Folks say he couldn't stand the nightmares, the whispers creeping in through the radio static. I still hear them too, every night. My father's voice, calm as the hum of crickets. Tommy's laughter carried through the cracks of my walls. They don't scare me now, not like before, because I've started to understand. The land isn't cursed, it's alive, and it's lonely. Yesterday morning, I woke up to find the scarecrow standing in the field again, arms wide, head tilted toward the house, the same burlap face, the same crooked grin. Only now the button eyes shine wet in the light, like they've been watching me dream. I think it's waiting for me. Maybe this time, I won't run. Maybe I'll step out there when the moon's high, when the corn breathes in slow waves, and I'll listen. Listen to what the land's been trying to say all along. Because in Millfield, the harvest never really ends. And when the rows whisper your name, you answer. Soft pause. If you made it this far, thanks for listening to Whispers Between the Rows. If this story sent a chill down your spine, don't forget to like this video. It helps others find the channel and keeps these stories growing. Make sure to subscribe for daily tales like this one. and share it with someone who loves a good scare or could use a late night chill. There's another story waiting for you on the screen right now. Go give it a listen. Thanks for being here, and as always, I'll see you back tomorrow. Harvest Moon. You ever notice how a full moon can make a quiet town feel? Wrong? I used to laugh that off. Old folks talk, superstition. But that was before the night the harvest moon rose over Miller's Field. See, I'm just an ordinary guy. Name's Tom Bricker, 38, mechanic, live in a town where everyone knows everyone and what they have for breakfast too. My biggest fear? Routine. Waking up one day and realizing my whole life's just oil stains and coffee cups. Anyway, it started the night the moon came up blood orange, the kind of color that doesn't belong in the sky. Looked like it was burning slow behind the cornfield. I remember thinking, it's too close, like you could reach up and scrape your knuckles on it. And that's when I heard it, a hum. Low, almost like a generator winding up, coming from the direction of the old Miller barn. Except there hasn't been power out that way in years. Now I could have ignored it. Should have, probably. But the sound, it wasn't just noise, it was alive. It crawled under my skin, pulsed behind my teeth. I told myself it was just the wind, or maybe a tractor some farmer forgot to shut off. But as I turned away, I caught sight of something in the field. Movement, slow and rhythmic, like wheat bending without a breeze. The stalks parted in patterns, swirling toward the barn. That was the first time I felt it. That faint tug in my gut, the sense that the night was watching me. And under that red moon, I swear, the corn whispered my name. The next morning, the air smelled wrong, sweet, metallic, like pennies melting on your tongue. And folks around town started talking about missing time. Old Mrs. Dunlap swore she'd only closed her eyes for a second on her porch swing. When she woke, it was 3 hours later and the swing was still moving. Her tea was cold. Her dog, Murphy, wouldn't stop howling at the moon, though it had long dipped below the horizon. I told myself it was nothing. Fatigue, maybe. Hallucination. But the thing about Miller's Field, it holds onto stories, like wet soil clings to boots. 2 days later, I found the footprints behind my shop, deep clawed impressions in the mud, too big for a man, too heavy for a dog. And the strangest part, they stopped. Not faded, not veered off, just stopped. Like whatever made them had lifted straight into the air. That night, the hum came back, louder now. It rattled the window panes, hummed in my jawbone. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the moon, swollen and red, hanging low like a blister ready to pop. So I drove out to the field, flashlight, wrench, a half-empty thermos of courage. The corn stood unnaturally still. The wind was there. I could feel it against my skin, but the stalks didn't move. It was like the whole field was holding its breath. And then I saw it, movement between the rows, slow, purposeful. A figure, maybe. Or the idea of one, too tall, too thin. When I shined the light, it didn't reflect, it absorbed. Like the dark itself had stepped forward to say hello. The hum grew sharper, more focused. My flashlight flickered, then died. For a moment, the world was just sound and pulse. I could feel it, in my ribs, my throat, my teeth. And then silence. I stumbled backward, tripping into the mud. When I looked up, the barn door was open, wide, and from inside came a faint amber glow, pulsing in time with my heartbeat. That's when I realized something had changed, not out there in the field, inside me, because I could still hear the hum even after it stopped. I should have run. Every nerve in me screamed it, but something older than fear kept my boots planted in that dirt. The hum wasn't just sound anymore. It was inside me, vibrating through bone, through blood, like the world's heartbeat had synced with my own. Then it stepped forward. The thing was shaped like a man, sure, but no man ever moved like that. The stalks bent toward it, like worshipers bowing. Its skin shimmered, translucent and thin as the film over spoiled milk. Underneath, veins of orange light pulsed, threads of fire mapping its body, breathing in rhythm with the harvest moon hanging heavy above us. When it opened its mouth, there wasn't a sound, just silence. And inside that silence, a word bloomed, soft and familiar. Remember? It didn't speak it. It grew it, planting it right behind my eyes. And suddenly I did. 15 years peeled away like old paint. The night I'd gone off Miller's Road in that storm. Headlights spinning, metal screaming. The last thing I'd seen was the corn, parting like curtains. I should have died. Everyone said it was a miracle I didn't. But now, watching that thing shimmer and breathe, I knew better. It hadn't been mercy that saved me. It was claiming. The hum surged, the field quaking underfoot. Stalks split open, spilling light, hundreds of them, each revealing another hollow shape, each pulsing to the same rhythm. A chorus of hunger, a field alive. I stumbled back, wrench raised like it meant something. "What do you want?" I shouted, but the words came out weak, swallowed by that sound. The figure tilted its head. The orange glow in its chest brightened. Then it reached out a hand, thin, glistening, dripping with sap that steamed in the cool air, and I understood the choice. Run, and I'd live another year pretending I hadn't heard the truth. Stay, and finish what began that night I should have died. The hum rose higher, trembling towards something infinite. I could feel my pulse aligning with it, faster, stronger, until I couldn't tell where I ended and the field began. So I stepped forward, and the moment my hand touched its light, the harvest moon burned white hot, and the world went silent. The creature reached toward me, fingers unraveling, curling back on themselves like husks peeling from dry corn. I felt the heat of it, not warmth but a fever, a radiation that wanted to crawl beneath my skin. Instinct took over. I turned and ran. The corn moved, not in the wind, against it. Rows twisted, stalks coiled together, trying to close me in. Each breath came out ragged, metallic. The hum chased me, pulsing through the ground, through my spine. It was like the earth itself wanted me to stay. I don't remember falling, but I remember landing, face first in the dirt at the edge of Miller's field. When I looked back, the moon had already begun to fade, shrinking from its own light. And just like that, the hum stopped. Silence, thick and absolute. By morning, the barn was gone. Not collapsed, not burned, gone, like it had never existed. The ground where it stood was a slab of black glass, smooth, reflective, and cold as death. The corn around it? Dead, charred down to the roots. The sheriff came out when I called. He squinted, spat, said I'd been drinking again. But when he stepped near that blackened patch, he stopped, looked down, and took 2 careful steps back. He didn't say a word on the drive home. Later, I heard they fenced off the field. County land now. Environmental hazard, they said. But people talk. They say machines stall near that place. Phones die. Some nights, a low vibration hums through the soil. Me? I told everyone I dreamed it, a hallucination, heat stroke. They nodded like they believed me, but no one looked me in the eye, except Mrs. Dunlap. She stopped me outside the diner one morning, her old eyes sharp as fence wire. "You've heard it again, haven't you?" she asked. I didn't answer. Couldn't, because at that moment, the sun caught my reflection in the diner's window, and for just a heartbeat, I saw it shimmer, a faint orange pulse beneath my skin, the same color as the harvest moon, and deep inside, almost tender, something hummed back. Now every year, when the harvest moon rises, that same hum rolls through the valley. You can't hear it on the radio, can't record it on a phone, but it's there, low and steady, a sound that crawls up from the roots and into your bones. And I feel it in my chest, like a heartbeat that isn't mine. I don't work late nights anymore. I don't go near Miller's field. Not since that morning the sheriff called to say the fence posts around the property had sunk 3 feet overnight, like the ground had swallowed them whole. He said it was erosion. I said nothing, because I've seen what the earth out there does when it wants something. The truth is, I think about that night more than I'd like to admit, about the light, the hum, the word it whispered, remember. Maybe what happened wasn't mercy. Maybe it wasn't even a rescue. Maybe it was a transaction. I got my life back, sure, but life comes with interest. Lately, I've been waking up outside my house, no memory of walking there, just footprints leading back to my door, deep, wide, and heavy. The same kind I found behind my shop, and every time I look at the moon, that burning orange glow, I see the reflection of that figure, tall, hollow, waiting. So if you ever find yourself driving down Route 6, past the Miller property when the moon looks a little too close, keep your eyes on the road. Don't look at the field. And whatever you do, don't stop when you hear the hum, because once you hear it, it hears you back, and it never forgets. If you made it this far, thank you for listening to Harvest Moon. If this story sent a chill down your spine, give the video a like. It really helps the channel grow and keeps stories like this reaching more listeners. Make sure to subscribe for daily narrations, dark tales, and eerie encounters you won't want to miss. Share this video with someone who loves a good scare. There's another story waiting for you on your screen right now. Go give it a listen. I'll see you back here tomorrow, under the same moon. Children of the ears, you ever notice how quiet small towns can get? I don't mean peaceful quiet. I mean wrong quiet. That's how it was in Merrill Creek the night everything started. I'd moved there to get away from noise, city noise, people noise, my own thoughts. I thought the stillness would save me. Big mistake. I'm a school teacher, ordinary enough. I drink too much coffee, grade papers late into the night, and talk to my cat like she's a therapist. But that fall evening, as the sun bled behind the cornfields, I heard something I shouldn't have. Not voices, not exactly, more like whispering that listened back. The kids in town, my students, they stopped talking one by one, first at school, then at home. Parents said it was a phase, but I knew, I could feel it crawling under my skin. Something was listening. It started with Tommy Reynolds. Sweet kid, freckles, the kind of boy who still waved goodbye to his mom every morning. One Monday, he just sat there in class, eyes wide, like he was hearing something I couldn't. His pencil hovered over the paper and he smiled. Not at me, not at anyone, but at the empty space beside him. That night, I heard the whisper again. Only this time, it said my name. The sound came from inside the walls, soft, crawling, wet. I pressed my ear against the plaster, and I swear I could hear breathing. Slow, patient, like it was waiting for me to answer. By the end of the week, half my class had gone silent. Parents were starting to panic. The sheriff said it was a sickness, some kind of infection spreading through the kids. But I knew better. Because when I closed my eyes, I could hear it too. Whispers, hungry and close, pressing into my head. And they were saying the same thing over and over. Can you hear us now? It started with Tommy. He was bright, curious, couldn't sit still. Then one morning, he just sat at his desk, eyes glassy, head tilted, like he was listening to something inside his skull. By the end of the week, a dozen kids were the same. Silent, still, ears twitching to sounds no one else could hear. I tried to reach out to the sheriff, the doctor, even the pastor. They all said the same thing. They'll grow out of it. But when the sun went down, I could hear it too. That faint hum behind the wind. It wasn't coming from the kids. It was coming for them. Every night it got louder, like static building behind my eyes. I stopped sleeping. I stopped eating. And one night, when I pressed my ear to the floor, I heard the whisper clearly. We're almost ready. That's when I started seeing them. Shapes, thin and wrong, moving behind the corn rows at the edge of town. You'd catch them in the corner of your eye, tall as the stalks, the faces buried where their ears should have been. The kids began to wander, out of their homes, into the fields, always at dusk, always barefoot. Their parents would find them hours later, standing in the dark, smiling at nothing. And if you tried to talk to them, their eyes would roll white, and they'd start humming that awful low note, like a broken radio trying to tune itself. I tried to stop them. One night, I followed Tommy. He drifted through the rows, hands out like he was sleepwalking, the hum guiding him forward. I grabbed his shoulders and shook him hard. Tommy, wake up! He turned his head slow and I saw his ears bleeding, thin red lines trickling down his neck. Then he whispered, voice calm, empty. They're teaching us to listen. Something cracked inside me then. Fear, maybe, or faith. Because suddenly I wasn't sure if the whispers were in the walls or if they were in me. The next day the town's power went out. No phones, no lights, just that hum swelling like a storm that wouldn't break. And when the night came, every child in Merrill Creek walked into the cornfields, all except one, the one who stayed behind, the one who came to my door and pressed his ear against it. It happened during the Harvest Festival. Everyone was there, music, laughter, the smell of kettle corn and hay, the kind of small town warmth that makes you forget how dark the fields look after sunset. The kids stood at the edge of the cornfield, shoulder to shoulder, bare feet sinking into the dirt, staring into the rows like they were waiting for a cue. And then, the wind stopped, completely. The Ferris wheel froze mid-turn. Balloons hung in the air like they were trapped in syrup. Every adult looked around, confused, like we were all holding our breath at once. Then the silence hit. Not just quiet, dead. You could hear the blood in your own veins. And that's when the children turned, all at once, their heads tilted back, ears bleeding in thin, glistening rivulets. Their mouths opened, but no sound came out, just that awful low hum vibrating the ground beneath our feet. The air itself felt like it was listening. I saw Tommy near the front. His eyes found mine through the dark, wide and wet with something that wasn't human. And in that silence, I finally understood. The whispers weren't inside their heads. They were coming through their ears, using them. The corn wasn't just moving with the wind. It was breathing, every stalk shivering in unison, exhaling that same wet whisper I'd heard through my walls. A voice too vast for words, saying one thing over and over: "Now we hear you." Something ancient was crossing over, using the kids as antennas, tuning itself through their tiny skulls. I had one choice: run or try to stop it. I stumbled toward the stage, heart battering my ribs, grabbed the fairground PA mic and screamed. Every sound I could make: rage, fear, my name, theirs, anything to drown that whisper out. The feedback shrieked across the field. The speakers howled. It was like the world itself tore open. The hum cracked like glass under pressure, and the kids dropped to the ground, limp. For a heartbeat, there was nothing, just the smell of burnt metal and my own voice echoing in the stillness. Then, from deep within the corn, something laughed. Soft, slow, and too close. The next morning, the town was quiet again. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that doesn't rest, it waits. The Ferris wheel still stood in the field, half lit and unmoving. The air smelled like burned corn and ozone. Parents carried their children home, dazed and trembling, whispering prayers or cursing God under their breath. But the kids, they didn't cry. They didn't speak either. They just smiled. Small, polite smiles, like they'd been let in on a secret the rest of us weren't worthy to know. I sat on the edge of the empty stage, the mic still hanging from my hand. My throat was raw, my voice gone. I could still taste copper and smoke. The sheriff came by, asked what happened. I told him the truth. He stared at me for a long time, then said, "Maybe you should get some rest." And that was that. No investigation, no report. No one wanted to say the word possession or curse or whatever the hell that was. By nightfall, the laughter started again. Not from the adults, from the kids. High-pitched, off-key. It drifted through the houses, across the empty fairgrounds. It wasn't happy laughter. It was the kind that doesn't belong in any child's throat. I tried to block it out. I stuffed cotton in my ears, turned the TV up, let the static hiss like a lullaby. But it didn't help, because when I closed my eyes, the whisper came back. Softer now, patient, familiar. It said my name, the way it did that first night, but this time it wasn't outside. It was inside me. At first, I thought it was guilt, shock, maybe trauma. But then I felt the same tickle the kids must have felt, that crawling pressure behind the eardrums, like someone whispering through bone. I could hear them, all of them, the children, murmuring under their breaths, carrying the same voice inside. And underneath it, something else spoke. The older one, the one from the corn. It didn't thank me. It didn't threaten me. It just said, "Now you'll never have to listen alone." I pressed my palms over my ears, hard enough to hurt, but the whisper was already there, already home. I left Merrill Creek that night. Didn't pack, didn't lock the door, didn't look back, just drove. Headlights carving tunnels through the fog, radio dead, static whispering between stations. The farther I went, the quieter it got. Not peaceful quiet, that same wrong quiet. By the time the gas ran out, I was miles from anywhere. The hum had faded. For the first time in weeks, I thought I was alone. But you know what they say about silence, it's never empty. I stayed in a roadside motel, the kind with buzzing lights and carpet that smells like rain and old cigarettes. Tried to sleep, tried to convince myself it was over. But sometime after midnight, I woke up to the sound of someone breathing on the other side of the wall. Slow, careful, listening. I pressed my ear against the plaster, and that's when I realized the breathing was synced with mine. Every inhale, every exhale, and then it whispered. Soft, close. Now you know how we hear. I sat there till morning, shaking, waiting for the sun to burn the sound away. But the whisper didn't fade. It just learned to hide. Now it's part of the noise, in the wind through motel vents, in the hum of tires on the highway, in the static before a song begins. And I think maybe that's the worst part, realizing that whatever it was, it didn't stay in Merrill Creek. It traveled with me. Maybe it travels with you too. So when you pass a quiet town, the kind where you can hear your own heartbeat, Listen carefully. If the air feels thick, if your ears start to ring, if you catch yourself tilting your head like you're tuning into something, stop, because that's how it finds you. Long pause. Faint static rises. A child's laugh. Dist, can you hear us? Thank you for listening to Children of the Ears. If this story sent a chill down your spine, please like this video. It really helps the channel grow and reach more listeners like you. Don't forget to subscribe for daily haunting tales and share this story with someone who loves a good scare. There's another story waiting for you right now. Just click the video recommended on your screen. I'm glad you listened, and I'll see you back tomorrow. The Corn Watcher. You ever driven through those endless cornfields at dusk? The kind where the sky turns purple and the stalks seem to whisper your name when the wind moves just right? That's where this story starts. In a small town called Harrow's End, population 1,200 and dropping fast. The kind of place where the sign on Main Street's been shot at so many times, you can't tell if it says welcome or help. The air smells like soil and diesel fuel. The nights are quiet, too quiet, except for the soft rustle of corn in the wind. And me, I'm just an ordinary guy. Eddie Langford, 41, father of 2, assistant manager at the local feed store. I coach Little League, mow the lawn on Sundays, and try not to think too hard about how my life's been stuck in the same loop for the past 20 years. My biggest problem used to be keeping the rats out of the grain silo. Until last summer, it started small, a feeling like the cornfields were watching. Not the people, not really, just me. I'd walk out behind the store after closing, and there'd be this low sound, almost a sigh, coming from the rows. The kind of sound you feel in your chest before you hear it. Sometimes when the wind died, I could swear the stalks leaned toward me, ever so slightly, as though listening. Old man Perkins, he used to own the land out past County Road 7, once told me that corn remembers things. Said every harvest, every secret buried beneath it stays whispering in the roots. I laughed back then, but the thing about Harrow's End is, you stop laughing after dark, and on the night everything changed. The wind stopped completely. It started simple. The corn grew wrong that year, taller, thicker, like it was feeding on something more than soil. The farmers blamed the weather, said the rain came too heavy, the sun too hot, but I knew weather didn't make things breathe. One night I walked out to the edge with a flashlight, the beam jittering across the rows. The air was still, too still, but underneath that quiet I heard it, soft, wet, rhythmic. Inhale, exhale, like the field itself was alive. Then came the disappearances. First was old Mr. Kemp. He'd been out tending his irrigation pumps before dawn. They found his truck still running, headlights slicing through the mist, driver's door hanging open. The corn around the path was bent backward as if something large had pushed through it. No blood, no footprints, just the smell, metallic like pennies and rot. A week later, the Morgan kid vanished. Went out after his dog, Buddy. Sweet boy, 11, maybe 12. They found the leash tangled in the stalks, stretched so tight it left grooves in the dirt. The dog came back the next morning, whimpering and covered in dust, but the boy never did. By then I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Every night from my porch I saw it, a figure standing in the corn, too tall, too still, always in the same spot, like it was waiting for me to notice. My wife begged me to leave it alone, said I was scaring the kids, that it was just shadows and nerves. But curiosity's a disease, and I was too far gone. I needed to know. So I set up a trail cam, strapped it to the fence post facing the rows. I left it running all night, didn't sleep a wink. When I checked it the next morning, the footage started ordinary, a still shot of endless stalks swaying in the wind. Then at 2:13 a.m., everything went still. Not a single leaf moved. And then, frame by frame, the corn began to lean. First one row, then the next. Like a wave spreading outward, they were all turning, every stalk, every leaf, facing the camera, facing me. 3 nights later, sleep wouldn't come. The house groaned under the wind, my wife murmuring in uneasy dreams beside me. But I was wide awake, pulse hammering, because outside, through the glass, I heard it again. That voice, low, rough, human. Eddie. It was closer this time, so close it fogged the pain. I couldn't stay inside. You ever have that feeling when fear isn't enough to stop you, only move you? I grabbed the flashlight, shoved my feet into my boots, and stepped out into the cold. The air was heavy, thick like syrup. The corn swayed, but there was no wind. Each stalk creaked against the next like bones grinding in a joint. My beam of light cut through them, and that's when I saw it. A shape standing between the rows. Man-shaped, but wrong. Too tall, too thin. Its skin looked like peeled husk, pale and papery, and its eyes. God, those eyes. Wet, glistening like freshly turned soil after rain. It didn't walk. It folded forward, each step making that dry rustle that fills your head until you can't think. And in one long, fingered hand, it held something shiny. My trail cam, the one I'd left out by the fence. It tilted its head like it was curious. Then in a voice that sounded like wind through 1,000 leaves, it whispered, "You've been watching. Now be watched." I took a step back. The corn behind me shifted. Another step, more movement. The field was alive now, breathing with me, through me. I turned to run, but the earth gave way beneath my feet. The ground split, not cracked, not broke, open like a mouth, and I was falling. The corn closed over me, stalks twisting like fingers, pulling me down into the damp dark. The flashlight flicker died. All around, I heard it, the sound of whispering, hundreds of voices speaking through dirt, my name, over and over. Eddie. Something cold brushed my face. The smell of soil and blood filled my lungs. And then silence. Utter, perfect silence. Above me, the hole sealed shut. And in that final flicker of dying light, I realized the thing in the field didn't want to be seen. It wanted company. I woke up at dawn, face down in the dust, lungs burning with the taste of soil. The sky above me was gray and endless, the kind of pale that comes just before sunrise, that strange hour when the world still isn't sure if it's alive or not. My clothes were torn to ribbons, soaked through with mud. My skin, God help me, was laced with thin red welts, twisting up my arms like vines. When I brushed at them, they didn't flake off. They moved. Tiny, thread-like roots burrowed shallow beneath the skin, pulsing faintly, as though the earth still had a hold on me. The sheriff found me an hour later, Sheriff Danner, an old friend. He squinted at me over his mustache like I'd just crawled out of a hole in his sanity. "What the hell happened to you, Eddie?" I told him what I could. The thing in the corn, the hole, the whispering. His face stayed still the whole time, polite and pitying. When I was done, he sighed and said maybe I'd fallen asleep drunk in the fields. Heat stroke, maybe. Hallucination. Then he mentioned the trail cam. Said a farmhand found it 30 miles east, out past the county line. Battery dead, memory card wiped spotless, no prints, no signs of tampering, like it had never recorded anything at all. My wife didn't say much when I came home. She just looked at me, really looked, and I could tell she saw something new in me, something that didn't belong. That night, she slept with the kids in their room. The days passed, but I couldn't shake it. The roots in my arms faded to scars, but when I ran my fingers over them, I swore I could feel them pulse, faintly, like a heartbeat under the surface. And then came the whispers again. Soft, faint, brushing through the screens at night. My youngest Emily called from her bed last week. "Daddy," she said, voice trembling, "who's that man by the fence?" I looked outside. The corn swayed though there was no wind. And there at the edge of the field, something tall and pale, half hidden among the stalks, watching, waiting. Now I keep the curtains closed. Always. Daylight or dark, they stay shut. I moved my bed away from the window after I started waking up to that soft tapping, like fingertips brushing the glass. It's quieter now, most nights, but sometimes when the wind dies, I can still hear the stalks shifting outside, not rustling, moving, like something walking through them, slow and deliberate. I don't go near the fields anymore. The feed store's boarded up, the sign half buried in dust. Folks say the soil's gone strange, too rich, too dark. The corn grows higher every year, thick as walls, green like wet moss. And when harvest comes, the town loses someone else. Always one. Always near the edge of the field. No one talks about it. They've learned not to. Sheriff Danner retired early, says he's tired of finding empty cars with warm engines and open doors. But every autumn he drives past the corn and doesn't look. None of us do. I thought I'd escaped that night. Thought whatever lived out there let me go. But lately, I'm not so sure. Sometimes when I wash my hands, I see something dark under my nails. Not grease, not dirt, soil, damp and red as clay. And when I sleep, I dream I'm underground, eyes open, watching the roots grow around me like fingers closing into a fist. Maybe I never came back from that field. Maybe Harrow's End just thinks I did. So if you ever find yourself driving through this town, That lonely stretch between the corn and the sky. Keep your eyes on the road. Don't slow down. Don't roll down your window. And for God's sake, don't look at the corn, because sometimes it looks back. If you enjoyed The Corn Watcher, don't forget to like this video. It really helps the channel grow and gets these stories out to more listeners. Subscribe for daily tales just like this one and share it with someone who loves a good scare. Thanks for listening and for watching. There's another story waiting for you right there on your screen. I'll see you back here tomorrow, if the corn lets me.